स्टार्ट करें जनाब। स्टार्ट कर लें।
यस सर।
ठीक है जी। अपना सीआर मैं नाम भूल जाता हूँ, नोमान है।
यस सर।
ओके नोमान। नोमान आज जरा क्लास को मुझे शॉर्ट करना पड़ेगा। आवाज आ रही है मेरी?
यस सर, आ रही है सर।
जी, शॉर्ट इसलिए करना पड़ेगा, डॉक्टर खानशादा साहब के पीएचडी स्टूडेंट हैं, अजमत उनकी पीएचडी डिफेंस है 10 o'clock, और मैं उनका को सुपरवाइजर भी हूँ। तो उन्होंने ख़ास तौर पे वो तो मुझे कह रहे थे आप क्लास छोड़ दें आज, मैंने कहा नहीं क्लास मैं ले लेता हूँ। तो मैं थोड़ा अर्ली ख़त्म करने की कोशिश करता हूँ, तो क्योंकि मैं हैदराबाद में हूँ, घर से मैं जाऊँगा, तो आई एम सॉरी फॉर अपॉलॉजीज इन एडवांस फॉर टू एवरीबॉडी। प्लान में चूँकि था नहीं, लेकिन बड़ी क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी है, बहुत अच्छा काम है। मैं चूँकि उसमें बहुत इन्वॉल्व रहा हूँ उनके साथ, उनकी रिसर्च में, उस पर था उनका ब्लास्ट लोडिंग पे नौशहरा में हमने वो किए थे टेस्ट। तो ये थोड़ा सा बैकग्राउंड है, तो इसलिए मुझे जाना पड़ेगा। तो लेकिन अभी से मैं कह देता हूँ, अगर आपको कोई क्वेश्चंस होंगे, कोई क्वेरीज होंगी, तो प्लीज़ नेक्स्ट क्लास में स्टार्ट में आप लोग मुझसे ज़रूर कर लें, हम इस पर बात कर लेंगे। और अगर आपको फिर भी फील हुआ तो ये जो थोड़ा सा टाइम मिस हो गया हमारे क्लास का, तो मैं नोमान हम इसको ऑर्गेनाइज भी कर सकते हैं। जितना टाइम हमारा मिस हो गया, 15 मिनट, 20 मिनट, 25 मिनट, वट एवर, तो आप एस सी आर हैं, स्टूडेंट से पूछ लेंगे। ज़रूरत होती है तो हम किसी भी टाइम पे ये फालतू थोड़ा सा टाइम लेके इसको हम मजीद भी डिस्कस कर सकते हैं।
ओके
नोमान,
सर।
एग्रीड नोमान? कोई इशू तो नहीं है इस पे?
नो सर, कोई इशू नहीं है सर।
ओके ओके, वंडरफुल, थैंक यू यार। क्योंकि ये एज ए टीचर मैं फिर भी ज़रूरी समझता हूँ एक्सप्लेनेशन देना, कि आपको पता हो कि क्या वजह है, क्योंकि ये आई आई टेक माई क्लास वेरी सीरियसली, तो मुझे मुनासिब नहीं लगता कि मैं वैसे ही बस आपसे कहूँ बस मैं क्लास ख़त्म कर रहा हूँ और जा रहा हूँ। ओके जनाब, बिस्मिल्लाह
ओके सर।
करते हैं। ओके, थैंक यू। बिस्मिल्लाह करते हैं जनाब। Today's lecture is project. We will discuss and define and try to understand what is project, what is program, what about portfolio. So we will understand these terminologies today, and then one very critical item which we are going to understand will be the work breakdown structure. And please keep in mind, if you are able to understand today clearly about the work breakdown structure, so you will be getting to know some of the very fundamental basic concept in project planning. So keep this thing in mind. Okay, what are the learning objectives of today's lecture? By the end of this lecture, you should be able to explain the terms project, project management, and so on. Explain the project constraints. Constraints. Do you know what is the meaning of constraints? Anyone? English word. I'm not talking in terms of project management, but in general. What is the meaning of constraints? Anyone? Anyone?
सर रुकावट।
रुकावट। अच्छा
सर बाउंड्रीज, प्रोजेक्ट बाउंड्रीज।
जी।
प्रोजेक्ट बाउंड्रीज।
प्रोजेक्ट
बाउंड्रीज, लिमिट।
यस, आई थिंक सो। कंस्ट्रेंट का वर्ड जो किसी ने रुकावट कहा, वो यहाँ वैसे तो कंस्ट्रेंट आप कह सकते हैं कि कोई मुश्किल या कोई रुकावट या कोई ऑब्स्टिकल, लेकिन यहाँ पर कंस्ट्रेंट दूसरे टर्म्स में है। कंस्ट्रेंट बेसिकली मींस समथिंग विच इज टेलिंग यू टू not violate these things. You must fulfill those points, whatever those are. So these should be taken as such. Okay, so
सर मतलब लिमिटेशन सर।
जी देखिए, frankly there is a very fine difference. Limitation means something which you can't do, something which you should not, without which you cannot proceed. Constraint something is something that I am telling you that you please, for example, okay, let me give you an example. uh, one of the constraint can be, if you're going to Islamabad, your target is to reach Islamabad from Peshawar, but I have put a constraint that you must first go and deliver this small packet in Nowshera to someone, to your class fellow, and then you should go to Islamabad. The objective is not to give this packet to your friend in Nowshera, but your original target is to reach to Islamabad. You could have done it by going through motorway, but you could have done through it going through GT road. Your plan was to go to motorway and then reach Islamabad, but the constraint fixed was that you have to go to Nowshera. Limitation actually means, for example, you cannot travel more than 120 kilometers per hour, and so on. So there is a fine difference. You will understand that. So just I'm trying to sensitize you that different words will probably sound similar, but when you look into them in depth, then the meanings will have slightly different aspect to them. So we are trying to sensitize ourselves. So I think you got my point, that constraints are something that you have to obey them, you have to fulfill them, and then you have to go further. Limitation is an alternate word, but better word is constraint. Okay. Explain the difference between project, routine operations, program, and portfolio. This is something very important and critical. We will discuss routine operations and project. In last class, someone said, I want to be entrepreneur and I want to have a company. Who was he? किसी ने कहा था कि जी मैं अपनी कंपनी स्टार्ट करना चाहूंगा. मैंने अप्रिशिएट किया.
Yes sir, it was me.
नाम जरा दिखा दें. नाम
मुदस्सिर जमान अफरीदी.
अच्छा, मुदस्सिर था. ओके, तो मुदस्सिर, if you, like you said that I'm going to have a company, so there will be a difference between the things. Your company will be running irrespective you have a project or not. So your company will be performing some routine operations. So we were going to distinguish between project and routine operations. So this is what I'm trying to emphasize. Program and portfolio, we will discuss that, and you should be able to see that. Analyze and generate work breakdown structure. This is very, very critical, very important. We are going to understand that, and you should be able to analyze a work breakdown structure. You should be able to figure out what should be a better way. So there is no fix hard and fast work breakdown structure we'll discuss, but you need to understand that and should be able to analyze various WBS. And at the end, evaluate the task duration. Very interesting, how to estimate what should be the task duration. So before we go into detail, very quickly, I'm not going to spend too much time. You can read it yourself. This is the history of project management. It says that as a discipline, project management developed from several fields of application, including civil construction and heavy defense activities. By the way, I don't know how many of you would know what I'm going to tell you, that from where the terminology of civil engineering came, the modern civil engineering. As of today, we called mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, civil engineering. Any one of you, do you know why and when we started calling it civil engineering? Anyone? Anyone? Janab? Noman?
No, sir.
Nahi andaza. Okay, no problem. It was probably 17th century when people started to realize that we have an engineering which is called military engineering. The purpose, definitely military engineering, primarily to support the armies and whatnot. So people started to realize that why not to have another formal discipline which should be used for the purpose of directly the main sole objective should be to facilitate the civilians and public population. So the term was coined as civil engineering, as in contrast to military engineering. This, if you go to the very famous civil engineering, there is a magazine which is called Civil Engineering. So it is, I have read it over there. When I was a student like you, I used to go to library a lot and study, and So from that point onward, they started to, I'm talking of modern nowadays civil engineering. So they started to call it civil engineering. So anyways, the point which I was trying to make, that lot of development has happened over the years because of the defense activities. Various techniques and various mechanisms are developed because of lot of work which has happened in the defense activities. So anyways, going further, until 1900, civil engineering projects were generally managed by creative architects, engineers, master builders themselves. It was 1950s that organizations started to systematically apply project management tools and techniques to complex engineering projects. Before that, the communication gap was big. There were big projects. By the way, the railroad which is built in our area, for example, Indo-Pak in Pakistan, these railway bridges were built by British in 1870s. I've mentioned that I've tested these bridges. The Jhelum Bridge, when I saw the plate, the year of construction, it was 1872 or 70, something like that. And the famous Atak Bridge, 1880 or 1882. I'm just forgetting the exact year, but in the 1880s. So even at that time, they were doing these big projects. I mean, that is not the point. The point is, formally, across the board, big and small organizations started to realize and started working was in 1950s. Project management isn't new, but the history of project management is relatively new development. Okay, one famous name which you will hear again and again will be Gantt chart. Gantt chart. Every second person in the field will be talking of Gantt chart. So it is after the person Henry Gantt, 1917, which is called the father of planning and control technique, who is the famous for his Gantt chart. So you are going to make Gantt charts using the software in your lab, whosoever is going to teach you. So you will see how important and critical it is. And the work breakdown structure, which I'm going to tell you today, will be very, very critical and will form the basis for making a Gantt chart. The work breakdown structure, WBS, will be used to prepare the Gantt chart. Henry in 1916 is known for the creation of 5 management functions that form the foundation of body of knowledge associated with the project. So what are those 5? You see, planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating, and controlling. Now, please don't take these 5 words just like as if I'm teaching you and you have to just memorize them and cram them without really appreciating what it is. So please let's not do it like that. It is अपना नोमान है, नोमान
जी सर,
ये अटेंडेंस की मैंने इंस्टॉल की हुई है एक ऐप, तो काइंडली मुझे जब स्टूडेंट्स जरा और भी हो जाए मुझे जरा याद करवा दें। मैं एक दफा इसे ट्राई करता हूँ आज। आप भी अटेंडेंस जरूर लें, इमेज लें, ताकि अगर इसमें कोई मसला हो तो हमारे पास 2 अटेंडेंस हो, एक आपके पास और एक मेरे पास। तो मुझे याद कराएं तो वी विल टेक द अटेंडेंस आल्सो। आप भी ले लेंगे और मैं भी ले लूंगा।
ओके सर।
ओके, so I was telling you that please don't take these words, just remember them. Planning has a very deep meaning. It goes down to a lot of many things. And then organizing is another very critical, important thing. Let me now go to planning. For example, if you remember your previous course, we talked about feasibility studies. Do you remember? Do you remember?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We are studying department.
Okay, good. So let me tell you something very quickly, something very important which is related to the field, practical, that this one term which is planning, I mean, I can sit and discuss with you for the whole day, this planning. But let me not go into too much detail, but I just want to give you a very quick idea. For example, you just remembered feasibility, right? So feasibility study. Feasibility study is a process, or it is a study actually, which involves of gathering of data and then understanding what the problem is and then doing the analysis and design. So let me give you an example. For example, in your village, or somewhere you are posted as a SDO or as an assistant engineer or assistant director, whatever you call it, in a let's say public health department. So you are there somewhere in a village, and you realize that people don't have the clean drinking water available in sufficient quantity. So now you want to have a tube well installed, or some mechanism of cleaning the water which is flowing from the river and cleaning it and delivering it for whatever. So in that case, you will start conceiving the project. You will start collecting the data. For example, how much is the population? What are the water sources available? Groundwater or surface water? Uh, how much quantity both are available? If it is the groundwater, how much is the depth? What is the water table? Is it rising? Is it constant? Is it falling? I mean, many things you can think of. What about the population? The current population of this village is 10,000 people. Will this remain same? Which is not the case. It will be increasing. So what is the expected growth rate of this population? 1%, 2%, whatever. You need to have those numbers and project it for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. Okay. Then you come to both the options, maybe option 1 and option 2, surface water and groundwater. So if you go by groundwater, then these will be the design parameters. This much tube well, and this type of motor, and this type of pipes, overhead tank required or not required, direct pumping or whatnot and whatnot. And then if it is surface water, then I need a water treatment plant and quality checks of the. So then you undertake this feasibility study, you prepare a PC1, you get it approved, and then you go towards the hiring of a contractor, for example. So now my point is, this first phase, which I just said in one word, planning. So all these things were related to planning. So once you plan it, then you, for example, you start organizing it, that you're going for bidding, you're going to have tenders called, you select the appropriate contractor, and then you go through the contracting process, you set the time limits and get the approvals, and so many things. You need a land acquisition in that village. You need to contact the people over there, whatever. So you're organizing. Then you have given this project to the contractor, and now you are commanding it, you are managing it on ground. There are difficulties happening and so on. So you are there in the field for 6 months or 1 year, whatever is the time frame for that project. And then in between, you are coordinating between various stakeholders, and then you are controlling the project throughout for its completion. So you see, this is the complete general cycle of a project. So these 5 words, I just gave one peculiar example. You can fit any examples. So please remember these 5. This wheel, you should be remembering it from core of your heart, not just by memorizing it, but understanding what is the background. By the way, for example, if controlling is concerned, we have a lecture in which we are going to discuss in detail what are the project controls and so on. So let's wait for that class as well. But the point which I was trying to make is, you should be understanding it very clearly and thoroughly. Abdul Musawwir.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है अब्दुल मुसव्विर, आपको क्लियर है? कोई कंफ्यूजन तो नहीं है?
नो सर, ये कंट्रोलिंग में है सर, बाकी क्लियर है।
अच्छा, नहीं ठीक है, कंट्रोलिंग का मैंने आपको इशारा दे दिया। कंट्रोलिंग primarily, let me give you for few more sentences. Controlling means basically when the project is in the field, then there will be certain clauses of the contract, specifications in your contract, and time schedule and costs which need to be on the target. So for example, you need to finish the foundation in 1 month's time. So you are now controlling that everything for 1 month. You are not waiting for the 1 month to complete and then ask, is it complete? Somebody tells you, no, it is not complete. So this is not controlling. So from day one today is the layout of foundation. Has somebody done it? No, nobody came for a foundation layout. So you, on the very first day, you start contacting the people, you issue a letter and make sure why it is not there. You as a controller, as a manager, you take the intervention and make sure that the same day or the very next day the layout is there, and then when the layout happens, then lean concrete and so on. So control means you are, as a manager, you are making sure that everything is happening so that after 1 month the foundation is completed. So after foundation, another activity, and after 1 year the whole project is completed. So control is basically those on ground parameters to be actually watched and monitor and actions to be taken. That is controlling, and we are going to study this in detail. Fatima.
यस सर।
फातिमा क्लियर है आपको?
जी सर।
ओके गुड। मोहम्मद आमिर क्लियर है? मोहम्मद आमिर अली। नोमान ये मौजूद है कि नहीं यार?
सर अभी 1 मिनट पहले ही ज्वाइन दोबारा किए, आमिर का अक्सर नेट इशू होता है सर।
अच्छा चले ठीक है। मोहम्मद तारिक।
यस सर।
क्लियर है तारिक?
यस सर।
ओके गुड। मैं लास्ट क्लास में आपकी तो नहीं, शायद दूसरे सेक्शन में मैंने क्लास खत्म हो गई और मैं अपना कुछ काम कर रहा था, ये आपकी वीडियोस को इनको अपलोड करना। 2 students were there for next 15 or 20 minutes. So Noman, आप अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं, they were not in the class actually throughout. They just logged in and they were either sleeping or they went somewhere. क्या ख्याल है?
यस सर।
वरना तो उनको लॉग आउट कर लेना चाहिए था।
बिल्कुल सर।
ठीक है, ओके लेट्स मूव फर्दर।
26 तो हो गए सर अटेंडेंस।
चले ओके कर लेते हैं, एक अटेंडेंस ले लेते हैं। मैं भी कहता हूँ टेक्स्ट टेक अटेंडेंस, एक्सपोर्ट एज txt। ठीक है, मेरा तो बड़ा क्लिक के ऊपर हो तो गया है। आप काइंडली देख भी लें, टाइम भी आ रहा है। सिर्फ हमने ये देखना है कि ये सारों को ले रहा है कि नहीं, क्योंकि मुझे लास्ट टाइम पिछले सेमेस्टर में ये प्रॉब्लम आ रही थी कि स्टूडेंट्स कम वो करता था, बट वी रियलाइज्ड एंड वी डिड नॉट। हाँ ये पूरे हैं जनाब, ये इट इज गुड वर्किंग। 26 यानी कि 26 एक्चुअली इंक्लूडिंग ट्वाइस माई सेल्फ, क्योंकि मेरा भी इसमें शामिल हो जाता है ना, मैं एज ए प्रेजेंटर और एज ए टीचर। और ठीक है, इट इज वर्किंग जनाब, वंडरफुल। मेरे आप फिर भी लें, आप मेरे साथ लेते रहें ताकि हमें कोई इशू ना रहे।
ओके सर।
जब हमारी तसल्ली होगी कि दिस ट्यूल इज परफेक्ट, तो फिर उसके बाद आप बेशक आपको बादर नहीं करेंगे। ओके, so this is the history of project management. I will leave it to you to study. Let me go further. अच्छा जी, so again this is the same history, but let me quickly see. You see 1957, it tells you about critical path method, CPM, very important. Like in structures, you use 3-moment equation or conjugate beam method for analyzing your structure. So critical path method is a method to analyze the project activities actually in a very similar fashion. I mean, from similar fashion means the same way you do the analysis. So this is also a very good analysis actually happening. Similarly, Taylor in 1962, and so they have defined some more things and so on. So in 1958, there is another technique which is called PERT, Program Evaluation Review Technique, PERT. This was also given there, and it has its own way of doing it. So this is again a quick history. Now let's come to the first point, very important. What is project? It says that a project is a temporary endeavor. Temporary, it's not permanent. It is not perpetual. It is not happening over 20 or 30 or 50 years for the life of the project. No, it is just temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product. you do a project, you do certain activities which are temporary. The objective is to create, is to form, is to make a unique product. Unique product. Okay. Service or result. It can be product, service, or any result. Now these are three different things actually. Now let us quickly understand. First of all, again going back, a project is a temporary, so arzi hai, mustaqil nahi hai. For the time being, you do certain activities and then those activities get finished, and they are taken. Why? Because you want to make, you want to manufacture, you want to create, you want to produce something unique. What is the meaning of unique? Anyone? Afaq, what is the meaning of unique?
Sir, unique means which is different from other.
Very good. Afaq Ahmed is unique. There is no Afaq Ahmed in this world, so it is unique. Abid Ali is unique. He is just Abid Ali. There is no Abid Ali in the world. You may have a twin brother, but both have different personalities still. So this is unique. Now let me ask a question. हमने किसने कहा था कि जी मैं अपना बिजनेस, आई एम सॉरी, मैं क्योंकि पहली क्लास, आई एम वेरी पुअर इन रिमेंबरिंग द नेम, सो फॉरगिव मी फॉर नॉट रिमेंबरिंग द नेम्स. हु सेड कि ही विल डू द बिजनेस? किसने कहा था? जी
मैंने कहा था.
मुदस्सिर ने कहा था. जी
यस सर.
मुदस्सिर.
नोमान.
अच्छा ठीक है, नोमान ने भी कहा था, मुदस्सिर ने भी कहा होगा. मुदस्सिर, if you install a let's say cement manufacturing plant, आपने एक सीमेंट बनाने की फैक्ट्री लगाई, and every day you are making cement bags. Now tell me, according to this definition, is this a project or no?
Sir, is this a project, sir?
Okay. दूसरा नोमान बताए, नोमान क्या कहना चाह रहा है?
सर अगर मैंने अपने लिए बनानी है सर, तो ये प्रोजेक्ट तो नहीं हो सर, ये तो
अच्छा।
लॉन्ग टर्म है सर. प्रोजेक्ट तो सर शॉर्ट टर्म का होता है ना.
ओके गुड. देखें मुदस्सिर एंड एवरीबॉडी एल्स, द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑफ सीमेंट बैग्स is a repetitive process, same formula, same things, and if you want to keep the factory for 50 years for your second generation as well, or maybe somebody earlier in your grandfather, for example, theoretically he started it, and you are then your father, and then you, and then your upcoming generations. So by definition this is not a project. When you are installing the factory, that could have been a project. That was a project. You said I have started on a project, and that is to establish a cement manufacturing plant. So that had a specific start date and a specific closing date, specific goals, and then it got completed. And your cement plant is unique. It is at a unique location. It has its unique garages and warehouses and equipment and people and everything. So that is unique. So that was a project. But once the production starts, from the first bag to the billionth bag or trillionth bag which you are going to produce in 50-60 years, this will not be project. The project was when it was there. So I think it is now clear. And the other things which I want to make clear is product, service or result. Anybody who can speak on this, आप में से कोई भी इस पे अगर बात कर सके, what is product, service or result? Anyone? अगर है तो ठीक है, वरना मैं एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ. नोमान बोलूं? जी बोलो. खालिद, पहले खालिद बोल रहे, खालिद रहमान.
सर आपने बात की कि अब हम एक सीमेंट फैक्ट्री को इंस्टॉलेशन कर रहे हैं, जब वो फाइनल हो जाता है तो उसको एक लाइन के हवाले कर देते हैं तो सर हमारे पास एक प्रोडक्ट हो जाता है, रिजल्ट आ जाता है, तो उसको सर कैसे?
ओके, ठीक है। अच्छा, लेकिन अभी आप सही कह रहे हैं, सीमेंट बैग इज ए प्रोडक्ट, बट नाउ वी आर सेइंग कि प्रोजेक्ट की डेफिनेशन में भी ऐसी टेम्पररी एक्टिविटी जिसके रिजल्ट में प्रोडक्ट मिल जाए वो भी आपका प्रोजेक्ट है। तो ये तो थोड़ा सा कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में हो गया कि जी उधर हम कह रहे हैं सीमेंट बैग जो कि सीमेंट की इंडस्ट्री काम कर रही है वो प्रोजेक्ट नहीं रहा, अब वो तो लगाते हुए प्रोजेक्ट था, तो ये उसका प्रोडक्ट कैसे अब प्रोजेक्ट हो गया? तो ये कंफ्यूजन को दूर कर लेते हैं। आगे मैं चल के एक्सप्लेन करता हूं। आगे एक एग्जांपल दी हुई है, उसमें एग्जांपल अब अगली स्लाइड्स में आ रही है, मे भी आपने देख भी ली हो पहले। दैट इज फॉर एग्जांपल टोयोटा की एग्जांपल दी हुई है। टोयोटा इज ए वेरी बिग large manufacturing car manufacturing company in the world, very famous by the way, one of the biggest actually. There is a team of mechanical engineers or automotive engineers who have been given a project that please design a hybrid car which can be plug-in hybrid, which can take the electricity also, which can have this, and it should have this much 4-seat capacity and right hand drive and so on. Some features are given, some target is given. So that team of automotive engineers who are working day and night for 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, in which they do the crash testing and so many things. So they create, at the end of that project, they create that product. They make that design. They give you that blueprint of all the drawings and specifications, bolts and sizes of nuts and the engine and the seats and everything. So that product is actually the output of the project. But once that is complete, when it goes to usual production, it will no longer be project. It is just again a product, but it is just a routine thing which is happening, that so many millions of cars are being then produced after that point in time. So that was a project, that to design a efficient hybrid car which can take electric and other mechanisms, battery operated and so on. Service. What is service? Service means, for example, you people, you are engineer, somebody hires you and you give them a design of a water tank or a foundation design or a highway design, public health system, you design a public health, you design a water delivery system, network, and so on. So that is the service which you are doing. Result actually means sometimes, for example, very simple example, we have a material testing lab. You may have established your own commercial material testing lab in which people bring some specimens to you, water sample specimens to you, and you test them and give the result. So something like that. Or some data is provided to you and you just do some basic analysis and give the result. So product, service, or result. So these can be, for example, 3 outputs possible from a project. Okay, as we can begin, let us try to, I think I have explained this thing. Project is a temporary, every project has okay. Now little explanation. So in case of a project, it will have a definite beginning. The approval of PC1, the date on which the PC1 was approved or sanctioned, you get a letter from the concerned department. If it was from ECNIC, somebody over there will issue, or from CDWP or DDWP or PDWP, whatever. So once they approve it, that is the start date. If it is a private entity, you are a private contractor or a consultant, the day you sign the contract, the day it becomes effective, that is the starting date. So it has a very fixed date, and definitely you will have a commitment that we are going to end this project in 1 year's time, 6 months' time, 3 months' time, 3 years' time, 5 years' time. So if the day on which PC4 is submitted, PC4 completion, that is the formal ending date of that project. Therefore, defined scope. So there is a fixed scope and resources. You are making a highway between Peshawar and Charsada, a motorway, Mardan, between Mardan, Charsada and Peshawar, for example, a motorway, or between Peshawar and DI Khan. I think it is in the process. Probably. Yes, I've heard that. So this motorway is being made, so it will have certain resources. Resources means, for example, manager, technicians, and when the contractor is mobilized, then he has or she has road rollers, excavators, and many things. So all these are resources. The end is reached when the project objectives have been achieved. When you achieve the project objectives, time-wise, cost-wise, and otherwise whatever was required, delivery of those physical things. So project is then terminated, or when the project is terminated because its object will not or cannot be met. So anyways, if there is a failure, so definitely you are unable to achieve those. A project is an endeavor. Resources such as people. What are resources? People, equipment, and they work and they deliver the project. So there are teams, or there is an organization. For example, right now there is a work going on one of the famous dam. Do you any one of you question, quiz, general knowledge? What is the nearest dam which is under construction from UET Peshawar, from Peshawar? इस वक्त सबसे करीब तरीन कौन सा डैम है?
मोमन डैम सर.
यस
मोमन डैम.
वेरी गुड मोमन डैम. इससे मुझे ख्याल आया कि आज के एग्जाम में डॉक्टर शहजाद साहब भी हमारे बड़े अच्छे, हमारे बड़े भाई हैं, यहाँ पे टीचिंग भी कर चुके हैं. वो एक बहुत बड़ी फर्म है स्नोई माउंटेन, स्मैक, उसमें चीफ इंजीनियर हैं या कंट्री बल्कि डायरेक्टर हाइड्रो पावर के. आज उनसे भी मेरी मुलाकात होनी है, वो भी आज आए होंगे, और शाम को भी मिलना है. वो हमसे बड़े सीनियर हैं. डॉक्टर अख्तर नईम साहब जो अभी रिटायर हो गए हैं, उनके क्लास फेलो थे. बल्कि अगर आप वो सिविल डिपार्टमेंट में रोल ऑफ ऑनर देखें, वो जो बोर्ड लगा हुआ है, सबसे टॉप पे जो नाम है वो शहजाद रहमान साहब का नाम है. इफ यू सी सिविल इंजीनियरिंग आपके यूईटी पेशावर के अंदर जो रोल ऑफ ऑनर का, किसी ने देखा है कि नहीं देखा है? एनीबॉडी? सिविल डिपार्टमेंट में किसी ने रोल ऑफ ऑनर का देखा है? वो बोर्ड जिसपे टॉपर नाम, ये तूरे सीनीन बोलिए. अच्छा, वेरी गुड. कहां पर लगा हुआ है? इनको बता दें, बाकियों को नहीं पता.
कॉरिडोर में नीचे.
वेरी गुड, थैंक यू. आप टॉप पे देखें, 1980 या इस तरह का 81, जो भी मुझे साल भूल रहा है. द फर्स्ट नेम ओवर देयर इज डॉक्टर शहजाद, मतलब नॉट डॉक्टर एट दैट टाइम बट शहजाद रहमान. सो मैं वैसे बताना चाह रहा था कि आज वो मोमन डैम पे काम कर रहे हैं, and he will be having meetings today in Pado and tomorrow also going to site. So just मैं आपको वैसे बताना चाह रहा था कि organizations are working. ये बात आ गई organization की, people की. So I'm trying to tell these are resources. So for example, Dr. Shahzad Rahman is one of the key resource. He is the designer of the hydropower. उन्होंने ये आपका ये जो क्या नाम है, तरबेला से जो निकलती है कैनाल, क्या नाम है जनाब?
गाजी बरोता.
Yes, गाजी बरोता का पावर हाउस डिजाइन किया हुआ है. शहजाद साहब ने जो नीलम झेलम हाइड्रो पावर प्रोजेक्ट है 1088 के 1060 के 70 मेगावाट्स का, वो उन्होंने डिजाइन किया हुआ है, और उसके अंदर टनल के ऊपर काम किया. मैंने उनके साथ विजिट भी किया हुआ टनल्स को जब वो बन रही थी आज से 6-7 साल पहले. सो मेरा कहने का मकसद ये, देखिए मैंने अभी नाम लिया पीडो का, मैंने नाम लिया स्नोई माउंटेन स्मैक का. अच्छा, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर जो है इसको बनाने वाले वो डेस्कॉन है, पाकिस्तान के वन ऑफ द वेरी रेप्यूटेबल एंड बिग कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स जिन्होंने मोटरवेज भी बनाए हैं, वो डेस्कॉन है. तो मैं सिर्फ बताने की ये कोशिश कर रहा हूं कि ये दीज आर रिसोर्सेज एंड देयरफॉर प्रोजेक्ट हैव सेंस ऑफ बीइंग इंटेंशनल प्लान्ड इवेंट्स. तो ये आप इस तरीके से प्रोजेक्ट को डिलीवर करते हैं. इसमें प्रोजेक्ट में टास्क्स एंड रिसोर्सेज आर यूज्ड. रिसोर्सेज तो मैंने डिफाइन किया, टास्क के ऊपर आगे चल के बात करते हैं, ये थोड़ा आगे चल के बात होती है इस पे. प्रोजेक्ट इज यूनिक, उसी की डेफिनेशन है. अब मोमन डैम एक ही बनेगा. अगर मोमन डैम की एक्सटेंशन होती है, मोमन डैम के पैरेलल में कोई डैम बनता है, वो मोमन डैम 2 होगा. इट विल नॉट बी द सेम. सो एवरी एक्टिविटी इज यूनिक. अच्छा, ये एक और डेफिनेशन है आईएसओ की. यूनिक प्रोसेस consisting of set of coordinated and controlled activities with start and finish dates undertaking to achieve an objective conforming to specific requirements including the constraints of time. constraints देखिए, लिमिटेशन और कंस्ट्रेंट में फर्क है, ये आप सोचें इस पे. अच्छा, ये मैं अब अंग्रेजी में ज्यादा नहीं जाना चाह रहा कि मैं इंग्लिश का यहाँ पे आके हम उसकी डिबेट में जाएं, वो हम थोड़ी सी कर चुके हैं. तो आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू यूज द टर्म लिमिटेशन. देखें, loosely you can use it, but the appropriate word is constraint. Time constraint, you may overshoot. It may, instead of 1 year, you may end up doing it in 1.5 years. Cost 1 billion, you might end up doing it in 1.2 billion. And resources, you needed 5 different resources, you ended up using 7 different resources. So anyways, this is a definition of project. You should remember it. It has dates, it has starting dates, closing dates, activities, and then you have the constraints of time, cost, and resources. And please keep in mind specific requirements. This also refers to specification. मुझे घर बनाना है. I want to construct a home, and I give you the contract. You complete it in the same time of 6 months. You complete it in the committed cost of 5 million, 6 million, whatever, and in the same resources, but quality is not what I need. The bricks which you have used are not 1700 psi. They are 1200 psi. My specification was 1700 psi. So this is again a failure. This is not what I'm looking for. So please keep in mind, specific requirements have to be met. Clear? Clear ho gaya, Janab? Usama?
Yes, sir.
Mudassir? Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Good. Deliverables. Any measurable, tangible, verifiable outcome, result, or item that must be produced to complete a project. A deliverable could be report, document, permit, or any other building block of an overall project. इसको समझते हैं, very important. वैसे तो सर मैं इसको पढ़ के चला जाऊं तो बस आपसे कुछ याद कर लें, but that is not the point. The point is to really grasp what it is being told. Now let's understand. The first thing which is being written over here, measurable. Measurable. If you can't measure, then there is a problem. For example, if the specification which you made says the work should be of good quality, the concrete should be of good quality, and that's all. So Muhammad Tariq will see that concrete and he will say, oh, this is the excellent concrete. Nurullah will see the concrete and say, oh, it's a satisfactory concrete. And Muhammad Noman will say it is a poor concrete. Why? Because we just mentioned it should be good concrete. So it is qualitative. It is left to qualitative judgment of the people who will be dealing it later on. This should not be the case. The concrete should be of 3000 psi strength. For example, this is only one parameter. So now the names which I took, Osama or Noman or whoever, I तीन लोगों के मैंने अभी नाम लिए. It is not left to their liking or disliking. They are going to test it in a machine and the result is 2800 average, fail. Average is 3000 plus, pass. So this is what we are trying to say. Measurable. Tangible. Tangible again is a mean, something which you can carry with you, something which you can prove, something which is physical, something which is quantifiable. It is again sort of an alternate, but a different word, but something alternate to measurable. But tangible has something different meaning. So things tangible means, for example, those things which are not tangible, for example, you say repute. He has a very good repute or she has a very good repute as a civil engineer. You cannot really measure it. It's not tangible. It's intangible. So these things are like those. Verifiable. You should go and check and measure it. You can verify that. Okay. It can be report. Report will have all the results. It can be a big document which will show pictures and measurements and references. Some standard laboratories would have conducted that. And please keep in mind, the result may be thinking you will go and just fabricate a result. No, that result should be traceable. That result should have been done by some third party. That lab should physically exist. There will be name and telephone numbers and addresses of those who have conducted those tests. They will have repute and they will have some physical presence, and then it will be acceptable. ये नहीं है कि report का कागज के अंदर बस आपने लिख दिया 3000 and खलास. Not like that. It will have its own mechanism. We are not going into those details, but the point I'm trying to make is everything will be quantifiable, measurable. Paint. The paint should be good quality. Now, नोमान को ग्रीन कलर पसंद है. नोमान जो है वो स्कूल के अंदर बिल्डिंग बन रही है और वो ग्रीन कलर कर देगा क्या जी मुझे तो ग्रीन कलर पसंद है. नो. या कलर चले वाइट ही करना है तो कहेंगे गुड. नो, यू हैव टू स्पेसिफाई द थिकनेस, द टाइप. There can be some test as well on the paint as well. How much is the thickness? What type of constituents are there? You can do the lab test, something like that. Yes, these things are doable. छोटे प्रोजेक्ट्स में मे बी कोई ना करे, वो एक अलग डिस्कशन है. वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग फ्रॉम दैट रिस्पेक्ट कि आप कहें जी कि घर जब बनता है तो उसमें कौन ये चीजें करता है. उस पे आप अपने जो भी मैकेनिज्म अडॉप्ट करते हैं उसको वेरीफाई करते हैं, भी स्क्रैच करके, वो अनदर स्टोरी. बट वी आर टॉकिंग इन जनरल. सो इफ यू आर वर्किंग ऑन ए बिग प्रोजेक्ट, if you're doing some lining, some red oxide, you are going to check the thickness. There are mechanisms, x-rays, which can give you the thickness of the paint as well on micron level. Yes, it is possible. Okay, let's move further. Milestones. Dates by which major activities are performed. In my construction of a home, the layout can be one milestone. Plinth level can be another milestone. Concreting of the slab can be another milestone, and so on. So milestone will be some turning points, some critical points in a project which are extremely sort of vital. You have to go through them in order to achieve the final outcome of project. You cannot bypass them. You have to do those milestones. Tasks. Now, this we are going to understand in more detail. Also called actions. Activities undertaken during the project. But now I'm going to make a distinction over here. यहाँ पर इसको मेरे हिसाब से loosely लिखा गया है. Task and activities. I'm going to write tasks versus activities. I'm going to, for now, for this particular discussion, I'm going to delete this word activities over here. I am not agreeing to this word for a second. I will explain you why. We'll go to the work breakdown structure. I am going to explain you over there. And please, from there, I'm going to explain what is task. But over here, just only keep in mind, task is something which is doable at the grassroots level. A mason is picking up the brick and putting it on over the mortar and adjusting it, aligning it. That is a task. Construction of a wall is not a task. Construction of a wall is an activity or maybe something else, but that is a broader, you cannot tell very specific, because the micro level thing which is being done is the laying of individual bricks. Those are the tasks. Construction of a wall is not a task. It can be classified as an activity. So I'm going to explain this slightly later. So now, Noman and Ture Sinin, we should be sensitive enough to distinguish that these terminologies or words, when we are going to use them very consciously. We will be knowing that what we mean. We will not be using, okay, please do this activity, please, and in the next sentence you'll say, okay, please do this task for the same thing. No, we're not going to make this mistake again. It will become clear very soon. But you have now, I've sensitized you that in work breakdown structure, different level of work, when it has been broken down, will have its own name. And I've just mentioned and clarified to you, task will be the bottom grassroots level. I'm not going to use the word activity. It will create a confusion. It is the smallest piece of work which is assigned to somebody, which is tangible and measurable at the grassroots level. That is a task. Ture Sinin, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Shamroz, Shahab.
Yes, sir.
उसामा, बात क्लियर हुई है मेरी?
जी सर।
ठीक है, गुड। लेट्स गो फर्दर. Risks, potential problems that may arise. Potential. There is a potential, there is a probability. If on your table, if on your table there is a firecracker. Firecracker समझते हैं ना, ये जो बच्चे अक्सर ये मुख्तलिफ मौकों पे उसको मतलब they just ignite it and वो हवा में जाकर धमाका करता है. छोटे ये पटाखे शटाखे की बात हो रही है. Firecracker. So if there is a firecracker on your table, then there is a potential of something bad can happen. It can catch fire by mistake or something like that. So there is a potential. If there is no firecracker on your table, there is no potential of this event to happen. You can still catch fire. You have a computer with you, you have extension boards with you. If there is a loose connection, there is spark, there is short circuiting, fire can happen. So there is a potential of fire always. So that is actually called a risk. Issues. When the risks occur, when they happen, when they execute, that is an issue. When the risk is transformed into a real incident, then it is an issue. If the firecracker by mistake caught fire, it exploded, God forbid, so this is an issue. Similarly, short circuiting, if happened in the extension board, this is an issue. As a civil engineer, you should always be watching for the risks which are there in the project. Now, if you're in the field working, definitely you have to foresee the risks. Crane can fail. The road roller or the truck can have a failure in the brakes. Hydraulic system can fail. Something rope can break, and so on. If you are sitting in a design office, you are a designer, the survey team may not complete the survey in time because there is rain, because their instrument broke. So there is a risk of delay because of the survey. There is a risk that your technical investigation which are to be done, you have chosen the auger boring for percussion boring or auger boring for a certain area, but when you reach there, it comes to, and you were required to do the SPT for 30 meter depth. When your team arrived, there was a risk that there can be some large boulders, and yes, the boulders were there. Your team could not go beyond 10 meters because there was a big boulder. Their percussion could not break it. That required a rotary drilling using the diamond core cutting. So risk of failure. So you need to, so whether you are in design, whether you are in, okay, you have a delivery tomorrow. Tomorrow is the deadline for submitting the documents. Your printer failed. You are unable to take out the prints of A3 size sheet or A1 size sheet or A0 size sheet, the contour maps and the bridge drawings or highway drawings, and you miss the deadline. You are penalized by 5% penalty, which comes out to be 1 million. So don't think that the risk is only in the field work. The risk is equally there in the design work as well. Gantt chart. I've explained to you very just the name. We will discuss this in detail. A specific type of chart shown in time and task. So this is a graph where there are tasks and this is the time. Various activities are shown like this with relations. So this is called the Gantt chart. Usually created by project management program like MS Project or Primavera. You can do it manually, but manually is not recommended because you have computers. So why not to use the computers for this? Stakeholders. Any person or group of people who may be affected by your project or who can affect your project. Designer. Client. No, not to start with the designer. Client. PDA. CDA. NHA. Stakeholder. Major stakeholder. Then they engage a consultant, stakeholder. Then they engage a contractor, stakeholder. Then the construction starts on Peshawar BRT, for example. The public is stakeholder. So in certain projects, there can be more stakeholders. In certain projects, there can be less stakeholders, but all of them are stakeholders. They need to be somehow kept in the loop. Okay, what is planning? Planning is defined as what? So question, it says, what is going to be done? How, where, by whom, and when? These questions are the fundamentals of planning. What is to be done? How it is to be done? Where it is to be done? Who is going to do it? And when he or she will do it? This complete answer is required. If anything is missing in this, the planning is not proper. It is a faulty planning. For effective monitoring and control of the complex project, yes, this is important. Okay, this is very, very important, sir. Please note it down. Failing to plan is a planning. If you fail to plan, basically, you have very successfully planned that you are going to fail. Or in simple words, failing to plan is planning to fail. मैंने इसको थोड़े डिफरेंट अल्फाज में, अपने अल्फाज में जरा समझाने के लिए कह दिया. अगर आप चाहते हैं, आप अपना फेलियर प्लान करना चाहें, if you want to plan your failure, if you want that your project should fail, you should fail. What you should do? You should fail to plan. Don't do the planning. If you fail in planning, you are bound to fail. That's as simple. So, in very short, crisp words, failing to plan is planning to fail. This is very, very, very important definition. I think anybody who is doing project management knows this. Success will depend how much planning. And please keep in mind, मैं आपको बताऊं, मैं चूंकि फील्ड में भी काम करता हूं, मुझे गाय बगाए हमारा वास्ता रहता है प्रोविंशियल गवर्नमेंट के साथ, फेडरल गवर्नमेंट के साथ, गाय बगाए लोग विजिट करते हैं, हम जाते हैं, कभी एडवाइस लेते हैं, कभी मुख्तलिफ फोरम्स पे मुलाकात होती है, डिस्कशंस होती हैं, प्रोजेक्ट्स के ऊपर होती हैं, रियल लाइफ के ऊपर होती हैं. तो जो चीज मुझे नजर आती है टिपिकल हमारे प्रोफेशनल्स में, खालिद मैं आपसे बात करता हूं, आपने मैसेज के मैं भी पढ़ लेता हूं, मैं अपनी बात कंप्लीट कर लूं. वो ये है कि हमारे लोगों में मैंने जनरली ये देखा है, we are in too much hurry. We just want to start something abruptly. We will be sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting for hours and days and weeks and months. And then we would want something to happen in the next 1 hour or 1 day or 1 week or 1 month. This approach should be cautiously changed. You should spend enough time on planning. Please keep in mind, if you spend a reasonable amount of time in planning, reasonable amount of time, ठीक-ठाक, thorough time, your project will sail smoothly. अच्छा, enough time का मतलब ये नहीं है कि project का आप क्या, मैं planning करूं फिर आप सो जाएं जाके. This is not the point. Enough time का मतलब है literally आप उसमें quality time input दें. Option 1, 2, इस तरह करेंगे, उस तरह करेंगे, we'll do by this, at this resource, reduce the time, increase the cost, and this and that, and brainstorming and stakeholder consultation and so many things. If you spend enough time in planning, the chances of brilliant success will be very, very high. अच्छा, let's see कि Khalid Rahman कहता है, Sir, I have read somewhere that planes are worthless. Planes are worthless. Planning is everything. Khalid, समझ नहीं आई, planes का क्या मतलब हुआ? Plans की बात करें? Plans are worthless. Planning is everything. Khalid. हाँ ठीक है.
Yes sir. Yes sir.
Plans की बात करें ना, ई लगा दिया आपने. देखिए yes, इससे प्लेन्स बन जाता है. अंग्रेजी का मतलब बिल्कुल डिफरेंट हो जाता है. अच्छा देखिए, आई डोंट नो ये किसी
प्लेन सर.
ओके, समझ गया, ठीक है, समझ आ गई. अंग्रेजी की गलती थी, खैर नो प्रॉब्लम. खालिद इज सेइंग He had read somewhere, plans are worthless and planning is everything. So I have no idea of the context in which it is mentioned, but what I can draw from here is the person who wrote it, he or she is trying to mention that just merely having a plan is of no value. You need to be doing the planning. I mean, from this, what I understand, what I because we have taken it just out of context, we really don't know the context. But what I'm trying to draw a conclusion is, planning is something, verb action, which is happening, that you're thinking and thinking and thinking, and then getting the feedback. It's a closed loop system. You're doing something and getting the feedback, and then changing it's a live system. So this is what I'm getting from this word, that planning is a very lively system which is taking feedback and then moving further. Okay, let's go further. What is project management? Project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to the project activities in order to meet or exceed the stakeholder needs and expectation. So project management is the application of all the knowledge and skills, whatever you have got. I'm giving you some knowledge. You're going to use the skills and tools which you're going to learn in the lab class. And then you will undertake the project activities so that you complete the project in time, in cost, within the specified quality, or better than that. So this is what project management is. So project management is the concept of successfully delivering the project. So this is from the Project Management Institute. This definition is from Project Management Institute, PMI. Efficient use of resources to complete the project as designed, on time, at the desired level of performance, and within budget. Again, another definition. The above mentioned project parameters are called constraints. So these are constrained. Time. You may slip in time, but not good. Performance level should not be compromised or severely compromised. It should not be of very high cost. Should be within reasonable if there is a change in cost. Okay, something important to understand. On this figure, see, this is the axis. One axis is the time. On the 90-degree is the cost. On another 90-degree is the performance. So these are the three orthogonal axes. All the three are going in different direction, and C in the space is the target. So you see, you need to move in all the three directions judiciously in order to reach the target. If you lack in cost or time or performance, you're not going to achieve the target. Clear? So it is the function of the performance, time, and cost. You have to control all these three parameters in order to achieve your target. You have the budget. We are going to construct this project in 1 billion. We are going to complete it in 1 year. And we are going to construct this, for example, water supply scheme which can pump 1 million gallons per day, for example. This is what we want to have achieved for next 30 years. So this is how you are trying to achieve this target. Scope creep. Creep means movement, slippage, unplanned changes in the project scope. So sometimes you're not planning it properly, you're going to slip, you're going to move, and you're going to lose on any of those parameters. It says experienced project managers have a formal process of reviewing and approving changes to the project. Project changes should be done very, very carefully. That is why I said in the beginning, always spend enough time so that there are no least changes or no changes. Keep in mind, the more changes they are happening later on in the stages, the more troublesome project will be, and you will start losing the project objectives, target. Minimal changes. Please remember, it is not practically possible that every project has no change. There will be minor change, but the changes should be absolutely minor. They should be of insignificant value. They should not be major. So if changes are happening and they are major, be assured that you are filling in the project. The process is communicated. So he says that the good project managers want to see and then approve all the changes. And they have a very effective mechanism of communication among the staff so that there is no creep is happening in the project. Now, very quickly, I will go through this. You have this sort of a triangle: time, cost, and scope. This is a balanced triangle. Now, if in this case, scheduled duration is decreased, you are chopping something over here. You are cutting this portion, you chop it off, you get this type of a triangle. If you chop off the cost, something like this, you are going to get this type of a triangle. If you are going to increase the scope or reduce the scope, you're going to have again an unbalanced, very flat based triangle. It will not be a balanced triangle. So this is another concept of looking into the project. Now, very quickly, I've already explained, not to go into too many details. I'm not going to read it completely, but just explain to you and you will understand. We just gave the example of, I think, Noman and हमारे कौन से अफरीदी साहब जो हैं, Mudassir, that they are going to have, for example, their entrepreneurship. They are going to have a block manufacturing company or a, I don't know, cement manufacturing block or a construction company, something like that. So now we are trying to understand what is project and what is operation. Now let's assume Mudassir has a construction company, and Mudassir aims that his company will be a company which will be specializing in construction of buildings, for example. Now he has a small head office somewhere in the commercial plaza in Peshawar. Head office, for example, is there. And then he has an accountant. He has a engineer. He himself is an engineer. He has another engineer with him, a surveyor, and some construction expert, foreman or something. So this is his core team, 4, 5, 6 people. For example, now they don't have a project, but still they come every day. They're looking for the advertisements. They're preparing the bid documents, submitting it, following up. And then fortunately, they get a one project somewhere in Hyderabad, construction of a 2-room or 3-room or 10-room, some school or some building. So they hire some engineers, some more people, and 3 or 4 people start supervising that and work start. His team is still there in that head office. Again, they're looking for projects. Every day they come, they scan the newspaper, they apply for bidding and so many things. And they try to get another project. They get another project 2, project 3. So they are working in project 1, 2, 3, and their home office is also working every day for getting the projects. All the 3 projects gets completed, but the basic team is still there. Now, what I'm trying to explain is the organization has its own operational works happening every day. Whereas there will be some things which will be happening project to project basis. So we need to distinguish between the two. Repetitive things and all these things will be happening in routine operational work, whereas projects will have unique activities for a certain period of time. There might be a project team entirely of new people or majority of new people and some of the main core person just supervising them. And when the project finishes, the team is vanished and the equipment is disposed of or maybe put in store or something like that. So we are just trying to distinguish that organization will have always its routine operation as well as project related activities. You should look into them from different perspective. Now this is again the same explanation. Project has a temporary activity, time, unique activities, goals are done, concludes, and so on. Whereas operations are ongoing, repetitive, organization keeps on working and it's always functional. This is the example which I gave you earlier. Toyota made a team of project designers. They are given a project that produce a car of certain nature. They worked on it for 2 years and 3 years, and they finalized that design and gave it to the manufacturing plant, and they're assembling. Now this is no more a project. Now this is a routine production of cars which is happening. Okay, what is program? Program is a group of related projects managed in a coordinated way to obtain benefits and control not available from the managing them individually. Program is a group of projects. Let me explain you how. Now, see, program, it has project 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And then each project has, let me give it by this example. Okay, let's see this one. Program is to build a railroad system. For example, a couple of years back, we had a severe shortage of electricity. Every now and then, the electricity was going off because there was a gap between the production and demand and supply. The demand was more and production was less. Then in the previous years, a lot of hydropower projects have been installed. So that at that time, a program was launched, which what you can call it, for example, building or construction of electricity generating program, something like that. Now in that, we could have this Mohmand Dam, for example, and we have K2, K3 in Karachi. Then we have Kohala hydroelectric power project, and then we have another Qaid-e-Azam solar park, solar. Then we have some thermal, I don't remember the name, Tharkol power plant, Gudu power plant, and so on and so forth. So all these are individual projects, but they fall into the program of building the power capacity, power generation capacity of Pakistan, for example. So the program is related to power generation, increasing the power generation capacity, and under that program, we have multiple projects. Is it clear, Mudassir?
Yes,
Noman?
sir, clear है sir.
Noman? Okay.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है मैंने ये स्लाइड्स को इसको आप पढ़ लेंगे, थोड़ा सा स्किप किया और मकसद मैंने बता दिया है, इसको आप पढ़ भी लें जरूर, क्योंकि टाइम जरा सा मुझसे अब लूज हो रहा है, मैंने क्योंकि वहां पहुंचना भी है, तो इसलिए प्लीज मैं थोड़ा सा फास्ट हो रहा हूं, बट इफ मैंने ऑलरेडी आपको क्वालिफाइंग कर चुका हूं कि अगर कोई चीज रह जाएगी तो आप चाहेंगे तो हम फिर ये 15-20 मिनट 25 मिनट का 30 मिनट का सेशन भी कर सकते हैं सेपरेटली. डोंट वरी फॉर दैट. नोबडी शुड टेक एनी टेंशन कि आज की ये इसकी वजह से अगर थोड़ा सा हरी हो रही है, सो डोंट वरी, वी कैन हैव ए मेकअप. 15-20 मिनट के जो मिस हो रहे हैं वो हम कर भी लेंगे. अच्छा, पोर्टफोलियो इज ए कलेक्शन ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट्स और प्रोग्राम्स एंड वर्क दैट आर अपग्रेडेड. मैं आपको आसान तरीके से समझा देता हूं. नाउ वी आर टॉकिंग ऑफ नॉट प्रोग्राम, portfolio. Portfolio can be group of programs. मैं आपको कोई मिसाल दे सकता है? मैं आपको एक मिसाल देता हूं, अभी आपको समझ आएगी. CPEC, China Pakistan Economic Corridor, for example. This is a sort of a portfolio. CPEC में we are building the road network, we are building the highway networks, we have built power plants. For example, right now, you may, आपकी नॉलेज में अगर हुआ तो मुझे जरूर बताएं, do you know Karot Hydro Power Project? Anybody? KHPP, Karot Hydro Power Project. किसी को पता है इसके बारे में? नोमान, मुदस्सिर?
No, sir.
No sir.
720 मेगावाट. अगर आप इस्लामाबाद से जो कश्मीर की तरफ रास्ता जाता है, कहूटा से गुजर के सीधा आगे जाएं तो 1-1.5 घंटे के रास्ते पे जाके ये जगह आती है करोट. यहां पर 720 मेगावाट का ये हाइड्रो पावर प्रोजेक्ट बन रहा है और ये इंशाल्लाह उम्मीद है कि इस साल के एंड तक या नेक्स्ट अर्ली ईयर ये फंक्शनिंग शुरू करेगा. 720 मेगावाट. तो दिस इज आल्सो अंडर CPEC. तो कहने का मेरा मकसद ये था कि पोर्टफोलियो जो CPEC का पोर्टफोलियो है, वी हैव हाइड्रो पावर प्रोजेक्ट्स, वी हैव हाईवे प्रोग्राम्स. मसलन उसमें मुझे अब मैं नाम भूल रहा हूँ, ये जो हमारा मानसेरा से एबटाबाद और थाकोट का जो सेक्शन है, ये हाईवे ये CPEC के अंडर है. फिर इसी तरह हम जो है इस्लामाबाद में ये हकला इंटरचेंज अभी बन रहा है. मैं कल भी इस्लामाबाद गया था, तो हकला इंटरचेंज पे बड़ी तेजी से काम हो रहा है, मोटरवे पे डाइवर्जन की हुई है. हकला से DI खान 292 किलोमीटर उस पर मैंने कल पढ़ा है. वो सीपैक का उस पर लिखा हुआ बड़ा बड़ा सीपैक प्रोजेक्ट, तो ये हाईवे का एक दूसरा प्रोजेक्ट हो गया। इस तरह और भी सीपैक के प्रोजेक्ट्स थे रोड के। फिर ML1 जो है वो हमारा सीपैक के अंडर चल रहा है। अच्छा, फिर सीपैक में गवादर पोर्ट का सिलसिला भी था। तो आई थिंक नाउ नोमान इज इट क्लियर के सीपैक पोर्टफोलियो के अंडर हमारे मल्टीपल प्रोग्राम्स हैं और फिर हर प्रोग्राम के अंदर डिफरेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं। इज इट क्लियर नाउ?
यस सर।
क्या नाम है, उसामा, शाह फैसल?
जी सर, क्लियर है।
गुड। हिजबुल्ला, फातिमा, फातिमा क्लियर है?
यस सर, क्लियर है।
ओके, वेरी गुड। अच्छा, अब आ जाए आखिरी मेरा पॉइंट। इफ आई कन्वे दिस लास्ट पॉइंट वी कैन फिनिश द क्लास। वर्क ब्रेकडाउन स्ट्रक्चर मैंने आपसे अभी अर्ज किया, मैंने अभी आपको बताया, यहां पर मैं बता देता हूं। एक है प्रोटोफोलियो, ठीक हो गया जी। प्रोजेक्ट एंड प्रोग्राम, खालिद 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 भूल गए अभी, चले अभी दोबारा बता रहा हूं। प्रोटोफोलियो के नीचे हमने कहा एनर्जी का प्रोग्राम है, हाईवेज का प्रोग्राम है, एनर्जी हाईवे, हाइड्रो पावर प्रोजेक्ट। अच्छा सॉरी, ये हाइड्रो पावर प्रोजेक्ट उसी में आ जाएंगे, एनर्जी में हाइड्रो पावर प्रोजेक्ट भी आ जाएंगे, और पोर्ट का गवादर पोर्ट जो है, ये प्रोग्राम्स हैं। एनर्जी के अंदर फिर हमारा करोड़ हाइड्रो पावर प्रोजेक्ट है, कायदे आजम सोलर पावर प्रोजेक्ट एंड सो ऑन। फिर हाईवेज में मैंने अभी 2-3 नाम ले लिए, हमारा जो ये मानसेरा और थवाकोट की तरफ का जो है। फिर मैंने अभी आपको DI खान और इस्लामाबाद के दरमियान हकला DI खान का जो हमारा सीपैक का प्रोजेक्ट है, इसमें हमारे हो सकता है एक ही हो या 2 भी हो सकते हैं प्रोजेक्ट्स। तो कहने का मतलब है कि प्रोटोफोलियो एक पूरा एक ह्यूज प्रोग्राम, मतलब प्रोग्राम का वर्ड नहीं यूज करना चाहिए, पोर्टफोलियो आपका एक इंडिपेंडेंट एक एंटिटी है, एंड देन यू हैव प्रोग्राम्स इन दैट, एनर्जी प्रोग्राम, रोड्स एंड हाईवेज प्रोग्राम, पोर्ट्स एंड शिपिंग प्रोग्राम, और फिर एनर्जी प्रोग्राम में जो है ना आपका करोड़ हाइड्रो पावर प्रोजेक्ट, एंड देयर आर सो मेनी प्रोजेक्ट्स। तो प्रोग्राम जो है वो हायर लेवल पे है और प्रोजेक्ट एक नीचे के लेवल पे है, और पोर्टफोलियो जो है वो टॉप के ऊपर है। खालिद क्लियर हो गया? खालिद, खालिद, खालिद खामोश हो गया, बोल ही नहीं रहा। खालिद रहमान, इज इट क्लियर? यस, ओके, ठीक है। अच्छा, वर्क ब्रेकडाउन स्ट्रक्चर। नाउ कम टू दिस पॉइंट। नाउ दिस इज रिलेटेड टू प्योरली प्रोजेक्ट। You have a project of construction of a home. We break it down to foundation, superstructure, finishing, electrical work, and water supply. फाउंडेशन में फिर हम आके फर्दर चीजें ब्रेक डाउन कर सकते हैं, ऐसा ही है ना। और फिर सुपर स्ट्रक्चर में आके हम ब्रेक डाउन कर सकते हैं, और फिर इसके आगे भी ब्रेक डाउन कर सकते हैं लेवल्स में, या इसको हम बाज़ दफा इस तरह भी शो करते हैं, और फिर इसके नीचे भी एक्टिविटीज। कहना मैं ये चाह रहा हूं कि जो सबसे बॉटम लेवल के ऊपर है वो आपका टास्क है, और टॉप के ऊपर आपका प्रोजेक्ट है। This breaking down of a project into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces of different level, going down to task, is called the work breakdown. It is logically done. और मैं ऑलरेडी एक्सप्लेन कर चुका हूं, टास्क शुड बी द स्मॉलेस्ट क्वांटिफाइबल, टेंजिबल, मेजरेबल, असाइनेबल सॉर्ट ऑफ। अब एक्टिविटी का वर्ड नहीं यूज करूंगा, बल्कि मैं इस तरह करूंगा, प्रोजेक्ट है, प्रोजेक्ट के बाद हम आप बाज दफा सब प्रोजेक्ट्स कह देते हैं, उसके बाद हम एक्टिविटीज कहते हैं, और उसके बाद टास्क कहते हैं, और बाज दफा एक्टिविटीज के बाद सब एक्टिविटीज भी कहते हैं। यानी कि प्रोजेक्ट, सब प्रोजेक्ट, एक्टिविटी, सब एक्टिविटी, और उसके बाद टास्क। जरूरी नहीं है कि फिक्स इसी तरह, प्लीज कीप इन माइंड 1 2 3 4 and 5, ये 4 भी हो सकते हैं, 3 भी हो सकते हैं, 6 भी हो सकते हैं, 7 भी हो सकते हैं लेवल्स। थंब रूल है 3 to 5, आई वुड से 5। अमूमी तौर पे 5 लेवल्स तक ब्रेक करना डिपेंड करता है प्रोजेक्ट के ऊपर। इफ यू ब्रेक इट डाउन टू स्मॉल, वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू मेजर एंड मैनेज एंड डू इट। क्या आप अपने प्रोजेक्ट को इतना ब्रेक करना चाहेंगे कि जब एक मेसन एक ब्रिक को रखे तो आप फौरन उसका टाइम नोट करें कि उसने कितने बज के कितने मिनट पे एक ब्रिक रखी है? वुड यू वांट टू लाइक टू डू दैट? नोमान, फातिमा, 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 आप प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट कर रही हैं। वुड यू लाइक टू डू द प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट दैट यू कैलकुलेट द टाइम के कितने बज के कितने मिनट पे मेसन जो है ब्रिक को उठाएगा और रखेगा और फिर नेक्स्ट ब्रिक को रखेगा? वुड यू लाइक टू डू दिस टाइप ऑफ मैनेजमेंट? नहीं, आवाज नहीं आई फातिमा। नो। नोमान,
यस सर।
आप क्या चाहेंगे, इसी तरह मैनेज करें हम?
सर मेरा भी अभी नेट डिस्कनेक्ट हुआ था।
अच्छा, कोई नहीं, नो प्रॉब्लम, नो प्रॉब्लम। आप सुन लें खैर बाद में। तूरे सीनीन, वुड यू लाइक टू डू दिस टाइप ऑफ मैनेजमेंट?
Sir, I can't understand your question.
देखिए, हम ये बात कर रहे हैं, हम एक प्रोजेक्ट को ब्रेक डाउन करें। आप ये सोचें कि आपने घर बनाना है, आपने अपना घर बनाना है। आपके फादर ने कहा कि जी यू आर ए सिविल इंजीनियर, तो लेट्स गिव मी ए प्लान कि हम ये कंस्ट्रक्शन करें घर की। आपने कहा ठीक है जी, मैं प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट पढ़ी। आपने अपने घर के प्रोजेक्ट को उसका वर्क ब्रेक डाउन स्ट्रक्चर बना रही हैं, फाउंडेशन का लेआउट, और उसके बाद फिर चलें वॉल की कंस्ट्रक्शन हो रही है, फॉर एग्जांपल सुपर स्ट्रक्चर की कंस्ट्रक्शन हो रही है। तो आप उसमें ये कह सकती हैं कि जी डेली बेसिस पे फॉर एग्जांपल कि वो जो पहले दिन जो है वो ड्राइंग रूम की वॉल जो है वो 5 फीट तक ले होगी। फिर दूसरे दिन जो है वो जो बेडरूम नंबर 1 है उसकी वॉल 5 फीट तक ले होगी। तो ये आपका प्लान है, मतलब दिस इज व्हाट यू वांटेड दिस प्लान टू बी इंप्लीमेंटेड इन द फील्ड। सो व्हाट यू आर टेलिंग योर फादर और योर ब्रदर और एनीबॉडी और टू द कॉन्ट्रैक्टर जो आपने हायर किया है कि जी आपने पहले दिन ये दीवार इतनी बनानी है, दूसरे दिन ये दीवार बनानी है, तीसरे दिन ये दीवार बनानी है। सो दिस इज व्हाट यू हैव डन, दिस इज वन ऑप्शन। मैं ये पूछ रहा था कि व्हाट इफ you want to say no, this is very very raw planning, I want to go into detail, and you tell कि जी सुबह 8:25 के ऊपर जो है वो पहली ब्रिक ले होनी चाहिए, और फिर दूसरी ब्रिक जो है वो 8:26 पे ले होनी चाहिए, फिर 8:27 पे तीसरी ब्रिक ले होनी चाहिए। तो मैं देखें, आपको मैं सेंसिटाइज करना चाह रहा हूं कि आपने अपने वर्क को इतना ब्रेक डाउन किया कि आप ब्रिक लेवल का ले करने का टाइम भी बता रही हैं, स्पेसिफाई कर रही हैं। सो मेरा क्वेश्चन ये कि वुड यू लाइक टू डू दिस टाइप ऑफ मैनेजमेंट?
I would like to do first type. You should.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. और शमरोज कह रहे नो सर, I would not like to do that management. Yes, मेरा पॉइंट सिर्फ ये इतनी, मैंने देखें बड़ी पेक्यूलियर एग्जांपल दी, उसका सिर्फ मकसद ये था कि वी वांट टू ब्रेक डाउन द प्रोजेक्ट टू ए रीजनेबल लेवल। तो अगर हमने जो पहली बात कही थी कि वन मेसन फॉर एग्जांपल 5 फीट ऑफ वॉल पर डे इज गुड इनफ टू मैनेज, इज गुड इनफ टू गिव एंड मेजर। देखें, खाली ब्रेक डाउन नहीं करना माइक्रो लेवल पे, उसको मैनेज भी करना है, उसको फिर लॉग भी करना है, फिर आके इनपुट भी डालनी है, कंट्रोल भी करना है। सो इफ यू गो टू सो फाइन डिटेल्स देन इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू मैनेज। तो पॉइंट मेरा ये सिर्फ ये है कि वर्क ब्रेकडाउन स्ट्रक्चर को इंटेलिजेंटली करना है। मैनेजमेंट के प्रिंसिपल कहते हैं 3, 4, 5 लेवल, प्रेफरेबली 5। थंब रूल है 5 का, लेकिन कोई नहीं 4 हो जाए। छोटा प्रोजेक्ट है 4 हो जाए, और भी छोटा है तो 3 हो जाए लेवल ऑफ ब्रेकडाउन। अगर बहुत बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट है 6 हो जाए, बहुत ही कॉम्प्लेक्स है तो 7 हो जाए, बट नॉट 10 और 12 और 15 और 20, 2 डजन ऑफ लेवल ऑफ ब्रेकडाउन will be very difficult to manage. So anyways, this is the work breakdown structure which you have to keep in mind. और मेरे ख्याल में यहाँ पे आप इनको पढ़ लें। ये WBS जो है वो प्लानिंग में आपको हेल्प करता है, स्केजुलिंग में, कॉस्ट एस्टिमेशन में, रिस्क मैनेजमेंट, बजट। इस पे आप मुझे इसको देख लें, मैं नेक्स्ट क्लास में वरना थोड़ा सा 2-4 मिनट का इसमें लगा लूंगा टाइम। ये वही जो चीजें मैंने एक्सप्लेन की है, लेवल 1, 2, 3, उसी की बात हो रही है कि आप उसको ब्रेक कर रहे हैं और रूल्स उसके बड़े सिंपल हैं कि WBS इज क्रिएटेड विद द हेल्प ऑफ टीम, यानी आप एक टीम मिल के बैठती है, उसको सोच समझ के फैसला करती है। ईच लेवल WBS स्मॉलर लेवल ऑफ अबव, तो वो जब जैसे जैसे आप नीचे की तरफ जाते हैं आप उस काम को तोड़ना शुरू कर देते हैं, ब्रेक डाउन करना शुरू हो जाते हैं। सो दैट इज व्हाई यू कॉल इट वर्क ब्रेक। ये एक एग्जांपल है, फाउंडेशन, एक्सटर्नल कंस्ट्रक्शन। अब इंटरनल वॉल की कंस्ट्रक्शन पे फॉर एग्जांपल इसने क्या, वॉल्स, फ्लोरिंग, सीलिंग्स, विंडोज, डोर्स, यहां पे इसने इतना ही ब्रेक किया। मैंने जो अभी तूरे सिनीन को जो एग्जांपल दी थी, वो वॉल्स में मैंने फर्दर ब्रेक डाउन किया था एक और लेवल का, कि जी वॉल ऑफ रूम नंबर 1, वॉल ऑफ रूम नंबर 2 एंड सो ऑन। वो करना या नहीं करना वो आपने खुद देखना है। अब देखें यहां पे, आप देखें सर्विसेज में प्लम्बिंग है और इलेक्ट्रिकल है। अब प्लम्बिंग में उसने किचन, बाथरूम, इसको देखिए एक लेवल पे ज्यादा ब्रेक किया हुआ है, और यहां पे वॉल्स को फर्दर ब्रेक नहीं किया। एंटायरली अप टू यू। अब आप ये पूछेंगे कि सर कौन सा वाला ठीक है, डिपेंड करेगा प्रोजेक्ट पे, डिपेंड्स अपॉन यू। मैं आपको एक जनरल आइडिया तो दे सकता हूं, लेकिन आई कांट यू गिव द आंसर फॉर द अपकमिंग प्रोजेक्ट विच यू माइट बी डूइंग। यू हैव टू यूज योर ओन अंडरस्टैंडिंग एंड नॉलेज कि क्या चीज मुनासिब होगी। मेरे ख्याल में 15 मिनट हमारे पास रह गए हैं क्लास के वैसे भी, तो आई जस्ट स्टॉप ओवर हियर। मैं इंशाल्लाह वापस आके इसको वीडियो को अपलोड भी कर दूंगा, और आप लोगों की कोई तशनगी क्वेश्चंस रह गए हो, एक चीज हाँ ये भी जरा काइंडली जाते जाते देख लें कि टाइम कैलकुलेशन अगर आपने करनी है तो कैसे करना है। बड़ा सिंपल तरीका है, आपसे कहता है कि आप कोई भी टास्क है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल हम कहते हैं जी कि एक दीवार 5 फुट हाइट की और 10 फुट लंबी कितने टाइम में होती है। तो हम कहते हैं हमें सबसे ऑप्टिमिस्टिक टाइम बताओ, तो हम सारे मिलके या हम में से कोई एक ऑप्टिमिस्टिक टाइम बताता है कि जी ये 1 दिन में हो जाएगी। दूसरा ऑप्शन है पेसिमिस्टिक। पेसिमिस्टिक का मतलब मैं कहता हूं नहीं जनाब ये 3 दिन में होगी, इंतहाई मतलब मायूसी वाले अंदाज में कि नहीं जी ये 3 दिन में होगी, इतना नहीं। एक है मोस्ट लाइकली। मोस्ट लाइकली हम कहते हैं कि जी हाफ डे में हो जाएगी। तो आपने ये 3 एस्टिमेट्स खुद करने हैं अपनी मर्जी से, ऑप्टिमिस्टिक, पेसिमिस्टिक और मोस्ट लाइकली। और ये फार्मूला है, ऑप्टिमिस्टिक जो है वो 1 है प्लस 4 टाइम्स मोस्ट लाइकली 0.5 प्लस पेसिमिस्टिक 3 और डिवाइडेड बाय 6 करें, जो आंसर आएगा वो आपका एस्टिमेटेड टाइम होना चाहिए। समझ आ रही है आपको इस बात की? हम लोग सारी टीम प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट की है, हम कहते हैं जी इस घर की 5 मरले घर की एक्सकेवेशन कितने टाइम में हो जाएगी। तो आफाक कहता है कि सर 1 दिन में होगी। अब्दुल मुसव्विर कहता है पेसिमिस्टिक कहता है कि सर ये, चमरोज कह रहे हैं विच वन इज द लॉन्गेस्ट ब्रिज स्पैन, ये बाद में बात करेंगे। चमरोज ये अगली दफा पूछ लें, ये अगली दफा पूछ लें, ये आउट ऑफ कोर्स क्वेश्चन है, खैर है बाद में बात हो जाएगी, भी टाइम नहीं है। इसको भी आप जरा, ये जो मैंने स्लाइड आपको दिखाई है इसको भी एक दफा देख लें, और अगर आपकी कंफ्यूजन है तो नेक्स्ट क्लास में हम इसको दूर भी कर सकते हैं, और वरना हम इस पे 5-10 मिनट का टाइम और भी ले सकते हैं। नोमान इज इट ओके? नोमान
यस सर।
वैसे ना करते करते हमने ऑलमोस्ट 9:32 पे पहुंच ही गए हैं, हार्डली हम 13 मिनट पहले खत्म हो रहे हैं, बट आई शुड स्टॉप ओवर हियर। लेकिन एनीवे स्टिल मेरे हिसाब से 13 मिनट मैंने खा लिए हैं अनफॉर्चुनेटली, लेकिन मजबूरी आपको पता है PhD का एग्जाम है। तो इंशाल्लाह कोई क्वेश्चन होगा तो नेक्स्ट क्लास में, वरना एक्स्ट्रा टाइम भी कर लेंगे। एग्रीड?
यस
Agreed?
सर।